Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day, there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning. Good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And I am so excited today because I'm talking with another one of my fellow C-Suite Network members. I always love that. It's so much fun. But we're going to have this great discussion today. So please join me in welcoming Kim Woods to our program. Welcome, Kim. How are you?
I am so good, Deb. I'm so glad to be here with you today.
We're going to have such a fun discussion. Well, let me tell people a little bit about you, and then we will jump into this. So Kim Woods, business strategist and master astrologer, combines the ancient wisdom of astrology with her more than 25 years of C-suite experience to teach business leaders how to achieve their personal, professional, and financial triumph. Kim's led 150 plus corporate executives, 425 plus high-performing entrepreneurs, and more importantly, overseen more than $66 million in sales and influenced more than 300,000 team members. She has been named one of the top female entrepreneurs disrupting the business world in 2022 by Entrepreneur Magazine. Kim's also been featured in Yahoo, Forbes, Inc., Entrepreneur, ABC, CBS, NBC, USA Today, Reader's Digest, Fox News, MarketWatch, and Digital Journal. And I think probably more, but she just didn't want to write them down. So again, please welcome Kim Woods to our program.
This is so great. I cannot wait to explore all the things with you today, Deb.
I have so much fun. Well, first, I always like to ask my guests how it is that they got to where they are today. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, because it doesn't really make sense. We've got the 25
right, you've got the business and you've got the stars and
right. And it's like, what is happening? So I grew up, in corporate. I was at Oracle for a handful of years, got me into consulting. Mm-hmm. And then like a lot of people, I had my first child and, I'm going to go back to work and all the things. And he was born with a lot of developmental and physical issues. He's fine now. That was 22 years ago. Mm-hmm. But at the time it was, all hands on deck, everybody stopped, right. To the career. And so what I found was that, he wasn't going to be developing on that typical spectrum right. That most people would. Mm-hmm. And so this sounds terrible, Deb, but I treated it like a consulting project. Yeah. And I was like, okay.
You researched it?
Right. Well, and the doctors were saying, he's never going to be able to throw and catch a ball. Mm-hmm. He's never going to be able to walk up the stairs naturally. He's never going to be able to have a social life that's normal. And I was like, oh, no. Not on my watch. Like, no. Right. So, of course, explored all the Western methods and then got into the Eastern practices because we weren't really finding the results that we were looking for. We were finding skills and strategies and tools, but we weren't getting to the root of it. And so in that exploration, I found out how the beautiful marriage between that ancient Eastern wisdom, yin, feminine energy, if you will, if I can go that far, married with logical, practical, linear Western methods. And we did get him off the spectrum. We got him like all physically all sorted. He's a senior in college now. He is a great athlete. He's got a girlfriend, tons of friends. I mean, so for all intents and purposes, we rewired his brain and we had his healing where it needed to be so he could have a great life. It took 8 years to see results. So that was a long process. Right. And of course I wouldn't remain unchanged, right? That would have been
because you were going through that process yourself.
Absolutely. So when I took a step back and I said, gee, when I was in my business, strategy corporation, I was like, wow, we could really get to the root of issues. We could really help out and not just come up with skills and strategies and solutions. We could do some healing, get rid of that block. We could clear the pathway. Maybe I'm going to do this for work. And so with that, it opened, the skies opened, the world parted, all the things, right? The lights shone, Deb, and, it was a calling. And so it became such a stirring that I just had to keep saying yes. And it didn't make logical sense, but yet, I wanted to see how the marketplace would respond, and they responded remarkably well.
Right.
So people were yearning for something like this. And my, last 4 years have been like meteoric growth. And so here I am today.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's get the elephant out of the room, so to speak. So my favorite show is Big Bang Theory. Yes. And Penny takes Sheldon in to have his fortune told. And he said, "This is not just hokum, it's malarkey." And Penny's like, "Oh, I've never heard him say the M word." But I'm guessing that you do have people that roll their eyes, go, yeah, right. Or just flat out, nope. And so what do you tell these people? Now, I'm going to preface this with, there are some people you're never going to convince. So, I mean, but for those who really are open, but skeptical, maybe is the best way to put it, what do you say to them?
It's so interesting because there are so many famous people and historians and politicians that use astrology. And a lot of times it's on the sly, but some have come out and talked about it. Right. JP Morgan is one of the most famous ones to have said, millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do. And that has paved a great open pathway. But people like Albert Einstein and Hippocrates and Carl Jung and Galileo on the scientific side, people like FDR, Winston Churchill. I'm trying to think of other politicians. I think people might have heard of Ronald Reagan. I think that was kind of pop culture, kind of like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, because Nancy Reagan really was.
Yeah, exactly. But then there's celebrity, Angelina Jolie, Madonna, let me see, Taylor Swift, Beyonce. There, I could name the string of people goes on for many, many, many names. And what's the key and the secret that every one of those people have had is that they have longevity in their careers. They have like mystifying results in some things that really shouldn't have worked out for them. And honestly, it's because the astrology and the stars are indicators, and then economics, comes second, and then the business trends come third. So it's really remarkable.
Right. And it's that combination, and we all see kind of variations of this. I certainly think that there are lots of energies around us, where things happen that, you feel that there's something more that's going on, and whether those are spirits, whether they are, angels, whatever people want to call them, and so I think there's so much more than just the true physical touchy-feely parts of this world.
Absolutely. And so, it's interesting because yes, I believe in energy. And so we could all go back to our 4th to 6th grade, science class when we learned like the laws of Newton, and liquid, solids, and gases, right? And molecules moved really quickly with gases and we can't see them, and a little bit more slowly with liquid, but they're still moving pretty fast. But then when we get to the solid physical, they're just moving really slowly.
Right.
Well, if you are bent on science at all, you brought up the Big Bang Theory, right? Through law of relativity, through quantum physics, through nanotechnology, I have a joke with my fellow people that, science is finally catching up. They're finally understanding that, there really is energy. That black hole is really the potential of the unknown. I mean, there are things that are working that we may not have scientifically proven yet, but we can't disprove them.
Right. Either. Yeah, that's the thing. We might not know why, but we don't know why not.
Exactly.
Well, and I mean, we just see all along how stuff changes. I mean, you look at, thousands of years ago, what people believed. And then as things have progressed, we've explained things. And sometimes we explain them with what people would say would be pure science. But then there are many things that, like you said, they cannot be explained, but we know it's there.
Right.
And it's just, I think it's a matter of just really keeping your mind open to the opportunity and the possibilities that are there.
Absolutely. And I will say, if we go back a few thousand years, astrology was very much at the forefront.
Right.
There were the first popes used it, and we had queens and kings using it. And so, it fell out of favor, and then it came into favor again, and it fell out of favor. So everything's cyclic.
Right.
I will say, when I look at the stars, because that's what I do every day, all day long, with business strategy attached to it and economics attached to it, we're coming to a trend where it is going to grow in popularity. I mean, Fast Company wrote an article, I want to say it was a few years ago, I think it was 2021, where they're saying that the Gen Zs, it's part of corporate culture now. People are actually incorporating it, which is fascinating to me.
Right. Well, clearly we're talking about far more than getting the newspaper, right? People still get newspapers, and looking up your daily horoscope. So tell us how do you bring this into business?
Yeah. So that's the thing. There is star navigation, right? Where you can follow somebody that is going to tell you what's going to happen this day or this week or this month or this quarter.
And most of the time they're so general that it's pretty easy to say, that looks okay.
Right. Well, I mean, so for me, one of the reasons why the media does love me is that I predicted COVID and the insurrection and the banking crisis, last March. And you can look at the trends. I mean, things are going to happen. And yes, it is very general, but the way I do it is I'm looking at a 500-year lens, a 100-year lens, a decade lens, generational lenses. And then I'm looking at the daily, lunar cycles too, and putting it together because I don't want to lead anybody astray. Right. So, but that's star navigation. That's like, gee, what's the forecast? But honestly, Deb, what the person asks, and rightly so, well, then what's in it for me? Like, what does this mean for me?
Right.
Now, one thing I don't do, I do not do it by the zodiac signs. I do not do it by your sun sign. Because I refuse to do it that way, because it's not an indicator at all. Those horoscopes.
It's just a label.
It's just a label. Exactly. So that label, it just isn't going to tell you how you're going to lean in or lean out. It isn't telling you how you're wearing your energy. It isn't telling you what your predilection is. And so that's why I did develop a quiz that over 21,000 people have taken that does stir and ask you questions about free will and choice and how you are living your soul mission. So there are questions like, what's your perfect day? What's your kryptonite? What's your superpower? Things like that. It is based on astrology, and it's been proven through these 21,000 people that have taken it, that are always wowed by their results. I do actually do the forecasting based on those signatures because that makes energetic sense. That's how you're aligning with the stars. So if I do say, I'm not going to say to you, Deb, like, oh, gee, you're a Cancer, so therefore this is what's going to happen this week, but I am going to say, gee, based on your choice, based on the quiz results, you might be a wise strategist, for example, and it's because that's how you're responding to life. Ooh, that does make sense. Great. I can get a really good tip for this week or this month. And that's super helpful.
Right. Now, I'll be honest. One of the reasons why, I'm hesitant, I'm not skeptical, I'm hesitant, is what if it's bad? I mean, what if you go, you know what, you really should go buy life insurance?
Well, first of all, shame on the person giving you that message, right? Because the first rule of magic is do no harm, right? So the one thing I do is, if you were to work with me on a closer basis, I've been talking about what I do in the public sphere, but if you were to work with me in the one-on-one container or in my small group program, I do walk into the stars the minute you're born, and I channel the voice of your soul. And what does that mean? I'm going to be opening energies and potential and your power for you based on what it is that you're like desiring to hear. And it's not all good. I mean, it's like, oh, you're really, this is really pressing on you. This is what you're really concerned about. This is what you're wondering about. Ooh, this is a huge strength. Let's leverage that. Right. So I literally just got off a sales call with someone who's coming in, and, I had to talk to him about, what is the issue about love for you? What is the issue about commitment?
Right.
This was on a sales call, because I wanted him to know that I knew, but I didn't want him to, feel uncomfortable about that. And of course he was ready to lean in. Right. So we do have free will. So even if somebody were to look at your chart and say, oh, Deb, you know what, go buy life insurance. Right. And they're thinking that to themselves, your soul can say, absolutely not.
Oh yeah.
The difference between fate and destiny is fate is just put upon you. Destiny is your choice.
Right.
And it's how you choose. So you can have your soul say no.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when I got very, very ill, the doctors were arguing over how fast I was going to die. And I'm like, excuse me?
Absolutely.
And it was like, no, don't think so. Not today. No.
Yeah.
And I think a big, as you said, we choose. Our minds are incredibly powerful. Absolutely. And we can decide we're going to do this or we're going to do this. And that's just kind of where then that goes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love the word choice, because choice is I'm stepping into the possibility of making this true.
Right.
Right. And I can open up to that. So you stepped into the possibility of like, oh, no, I'm going to live. I'm going to choose life. I'm going to choose to be healthy. I'm going to choose to live vibrantly. I'm going to choose to continue my work. I'm going to choose to continue to love and, be connected to all my people. And that choice overrides any sort of illness that could be also just there residually.
Right. Yeah. Well, and obviously there are people who say and choose, I'm done. We see that very often, especially with, say, elderly couples who've been married a very long time, where one will pass away pretty close to when the other one passes, because their lives were just so intertwined, they can't imagine not being with them. And so they or like my great aunt, God bless her. She was 99 years old. And we were going to have a birthday party for her, going to throw this big party. And she kept saying, I don't want that. I don't want that. And dang if she didn't pass away like the week before.
She didn't want that, Deb. She absolutely did not want that. I know. It's amazing. And it's so interesting because an astrologer could then say and back into that and say, oh, well, I would have known. You know what? I absolutely not. There's nothing absolute. There's a roadmap for you. There's a beautiful blueprint for your potential. There's how you align with it. And then it's how you choose. Right.
Right.
So I love to say this example, my astrologer, right? Because of course I grew up with one, because this has been in my life for a really long time, told my mom that she'd be really good at investing and she could make a lot of money on Wall Street. Well, she never actually invested any money. So a year or so later, she's complaining to me and she said, well, she said that I would be able to, make a lot of money on investment.
But she didn't write that check.
But you didn't invest. You didn't invest, right? So no, that's your potential. That's the possibility. And had you actually done it, then there could have been a different outcome.
Right, right. So we have people working on the house, so hopefully we can't hear that high-pitched whining noise. If so, folks, fate said to us today we needed to have a plumber here. But it's like you said, it's nothing is written in stone. That's why you haven't won the lottery either, right? Exactly. Because how many times do people say either A, tell me what I'm thinking, or why haven't you won the lottery? Well, no, that's not what this is.
Right. Exactly. No, it's interesting. I was at a retreat last week and, a few of the people after, we were doing a happy hour and they were asking me, more like the parlor trick kind of question. Yeah. Right. So tell me what I'm thinking.
Tell me what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I could do that. I absolutely will not do that because two reasons.
Number one, some of it's general. I mean, if they're asking you that, you can say that you're very skeptical. Right.
Right. Well, but honestly, I could actually go in. I will not go into your energy because I really don't have permission for it. We're not in the right container for it. I mean, literally the first rule of anything etheric or intuitive is do no harm. Even if you give somebody good news, quote unquote, good news,
right,
you have no idea how that's going to affect them. So I basically say, this isn't that, we're not in the right container. I don't have permission to go into your energy. We don't have the right scenario going on. And this is very serious business. I mean, I can go in and I can literally give you the pathway so you live your soul mission. You're achieving your true life purpose. You're making the money that you desire. You're going to work with me on that. Like, this isn't, you're just going to sit there and go, oh, yay, all the things.
I'm going to make a killing in the stock market.
Right? Like, all things you're going to transform. You're going to be choosing change.
Right.
You're going to be doing some healing work with me. You're going to be doing some strategy with me. You're going to be following the stars with me. There's going to be something or more than one thing that you're going to need to let go of.
Right.
Control is a big one. You're going to be stepping into your power. There's going to be some shifts in your life because of that. And we're probably going to get rid of some lack, because we all have it, whether it's time or money or love, because we're going to help open your receiving container. And when we widen that, that's when you can have that transformative, more ease with making more money. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
Right. Yeah, because when you're open to that, then you're open to other opportunities and things like that. So, whereas, say you might have, somebody's, they're going to become very wealthy. Well, okay. But, maybe I was thinking I'm not going to say buy Bitcoin. Well, now I might want to think differently about it, or at least research it, and all of those various things, because like you said, it is about making those choices. And then it's really funny. I just finished an interview with somebody whose program is going to air after yours, but we were talking truly about those choices, and from a big business perspective, what you choose to do is the thing. And so many times we have those choices kind of forced on us. You're going to go into the family business. You're going to get married and have 2.5 children, all of those various things. And then we either say okie dokie, or we don't do it. But it's all of those things where, sometimes not choosing is choosing, right?
Exactly.
But it is about saying, okay, if I'm going to live up to my potential, then maybe I do need to go back and get another degree, or all of those things that come into this.
Absolutely. I know. Absolutely. So if people are looking for that, it's easy 1, 2, 3.
Right.
I am not your girl.
No, go play the lottery, folks.
Go follow someone else. There are a million astrologers out there. Oh my God. Yeah, I can say that now. I'm super excited to do that. But if you're looking for lasting change, you're looking to scale your business. You're looking to, I don't like this word, but it's the best word to describe it, up level your life. If you're really serious about that, 100%. That's where that marriage between that etheric astrology, intuitive, whatever you want to, wisdom, whatever word you're comfortable with, and the business, practical, logical, linear.
Yeah. What are your goals? What are you going to do to achieve it? All of those various things.
Absolutely. Because that's the thing. I mean, after I channel the voice of your soul, we then set strategy, right? Because one thing I don't adore is that when you do go for a reading with a psychic or a medium or an astrologer, you feel great because you feel like you're seen, you things are validated, and then things are surprising, and you're like, oh, and then what? And then what?
Right.
Like, so literally one psychic told me one time, she's like, you are going to be the key for people. They're going to have done a lot of different things. They're going to be, kind of not at their wits' end, but they're going to be really frustrated. And then they're going to come to you, and you're going to just liberate them from that. And this is the key and all the thing. And I'm like, this was back in like about 2007.
Right. You thought malarkey.
Well, no, because I did go to the psychic, right? So no, so
right,
I
true.
had some open-mindedness about this. But I'm like, I am a business strategist, very traditional.
How do we, tie that together?
What is happening right now? So I couldn't see the pathway. I couldn't determine what my next steps were. I did some spinning around. This is why I do my work, because I don't want to ever leave somebody like that. Right. I don't want to ever say, oh my goodness, here's your whole full potential. See ya.
Right. Well, and it is about kind of that continuing, because we all could, call California psychics, right?
Right.
And get them to for $1 an hour, or but $1 a minute. I think $1 an hour. That's not bad.
Right.
buck a minute. They're going to tell us, and of course I'm figuring, they're Googling you as fast as they possibly can.
Maybe,
but but when you hang up, then it's like, okay. And so this is about having that long-term relationship. And that's what we do with with our business coaches, right?
Absolutely.
We don't just go buy their book or see them at the seminar. It is, a longer term type of thing. And the length is, totally a variable. I mean, some people are with their business coaches forever, and others it's like, okay, this was a great 6 months.
Exactly.
And but yeah, it is not, it's and part of that too is you have to get to know people in order, like you might see someone has potential for great success. And it was funny. This is what I talked with my guest earlier today, but what does somebody define as success?
Exactly.
I'm going to think success is something totally different than you. So you need to delve more into that to know, okay, well, success for them is that they want to retire at 45 and, go off and build gardens for people who don't know how to do that, as opposed to somebody else who is thinking, no, I have to make $1 bazillion, and for them that's success. But you can't with, a very short-term type of thing. You can't do that. I mean, even if they tell you that's what it is, you still got to dig deeper and find out more.
Yeah. And this is why I adore the stars, because what the stars do is you come to me, for example, and I get to look at your stars. This is what you chose. This is what your soul said. Yes, this could be an excellent idea. I can literally help you define what does success really mean to you without, you said this earlier, without societal norms or cultural expectations or familiar conditioning, right? This is you and your purity. I'll be honest with you, that first session with me, a lot of people either tear up or they cry.
I bet.
Because this is the first time that they've been seen, heard, known without agenda.
Right. And let's be honest, a good business coach should kind of evoke that. I mean, all of these things. And so that's where you're combining all of this.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because that's true. Like everybody has a different definition, right? So I am going to retire at X, whatever X is, or, oh my goodness, retiring would just be terrible for me. And so therefore I want a great exit strategy for them to be able to be the emeritus of something, or to be able to be on a board, or to be able to be, I've written books and then maybe I can go do something like that. Perfect. There's no agenda coming from me. It's all what the person at the soul level has determined that I get to reveal.
And again, it's not what other people have told them. And we talk about that a lot, that we've got those little voices, right? They're right here in our ears. And in many cases, those little voices are trying to protect us. They were our parents. They were our teachers. They were, all these people might have been your best friend. Now, you do have those little voices that are just mean and nasty and you just smack them off your shoulder. But they were trying to protect us from being hurt, from being, broke, all those various things. And so it's a matter of listening to them and kind of filtering it and knowing, okay, they didn't want me to have, in many cases, they didn't want us to have to go through what they went through. And I think that's especially true with, say, our parents, but then that all just, it just all starts building together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know. And the thing is, what I do help people do is, and this is what I say to them, I said, use my intuition as we're developing yours, so that we can figure out, like, where are you feeling your instinct in your body? How do you respond to certain things versus reacting? What is your typical pattern or behavior when a trigger happens, or when a limiting belief comes in? And we're going to not only come up with ways to reprogram, if you will, or to repattern that, but I do healing as well. So we're going to heal that. We're going to do that through you becoming aware of it, us doing some process, whether that's me doing a ritual download, or whether that's you doing some exercises. No, and you're going to soften that, and you're going to open to it. And so then it's not going to be an issue for you in the same way again, which is what I love.
Well, and I love this concept because, you're talking about maybe recognizing, hey, I've done that before and that hasn't worked, or, all those things like that. And like we said, just recognizing it and going, and then back to making that choice. This time's going to be different. We all say that, right? This time will be different. But yeah, it is, it's about really looking at, as you said, why did we make those decisions? What led to them? What could we have done different? And
absolutely,
there's always something we could have done different. made it better, made it worse. But there's always something that we need to be looking at. And in many cases, of course, the things that were failures were maybe some of the best things that could happen to us.
No, absolutely. It's so interesting that, a lot of the people that I work with, believe it or not, power and confidence, I think that's probably not that unbelievable, is one of the biggest issues, as is fear of success.
Right.
Right. So I ended up doing some statistical research because I kept running into it. And the person presents and they're really, effusive and outgoing and they're successful and all the things. And then I look at their stars and their stars are saying the same thing, but then they'll show up in a room. I have a perfect person. She was a book publisher. She'd show up in the room and all of a sudden be the student. And I'm like, no, time out. You're in the 7 figures. Well, we got her there, right? She started off, when she came to me, she was half that. And then we quickly got her into 7 figures. Great. That's what her goal was. But it was more than that. She wanted to be a thought leader. She wanted to be influencing the industry. So we had her going out into these collaborative rooms and these masterminds and things like that. She'd come back and the stories I was hearing were very much, she was like entering in almost apologetic and saying, well, wait a minute, nope, okay. And then being so amazingly grateful if somebody was asking her opinion. I was like, oh, time out.
Yeah.
We are going to get under the covers of this because
it's the imposter syndrome.
Absolutely. You are brilliant and you have more to say than probably most of the people in the room. And it's so gratifying, Deb, when I then hear, I get a Voxer from, oh my God, I'm in California and I'm doing this conference and you'd be so proud of me. And, this is what I just did and all the things, to then the point that now she's running things and she's leading things.
Right.
That is so incredibly amazing.
Right. Well, and some people, they do know, and like you said, kind of that fear of success. What if I get so big, I can't deal with it? And unfortunately, we see that, I think, especially with, say, celebrities, and even, some of the huge business people, things like that, where it is just so overwhelming to them. And, in many cases, what's happened is they have not surrounded themselves with the right people. They've not made the right decisions to get there. All of those various things. But then, everything comes crashing down because they hadn't laid a good foundation. But I think a lot of people do think, the what ifs, what if I get to be, like that? Well, then again, make that choice and don't do that. But, it's very easy for me to say that.
Yeah, it's so interesting because, what I always look at things, I'm a holistic person, right? So I'm going to look at the totality of something. And so a lot of times people be focusing on the money or on the impact or on the lifestyle or on the satisfaction. You need to look at all of those things. They are hand in hand. Because I literally had a client come to me. Well, she was a prospect at the time. She had 400,000 followers on TikTok and Instagram combined. Sold maybe $35,000. And this was like in June or July of the first year. And I was like, oh, wait, what now? If I had an audience like that, I can't even imagine what I could do. Right. So her whole thing was she was doing things. She had said yes to the impact. She hadn't said yes to the money.
Right.
And so we had to work on the block that she had around money. And then once we did, okay, now we can come up with the offering suite and now we can lay out that conversion strategy. Because if we didn't get rid of the money block, the conversion strategy and the offering suite wouldn't have mattered because the same thing would have happened. Don't worry. She made $14,000 a month within 2 weeks. And she's just gone.
I love it. Well, and you talk about that money block. I think so many times, especially women, think I'm not worth that. Right. And so when you're talking to them, and it's funny because we just had a C-suite network thing last week where we were talking about this, about what do you charge? What is, and so many people, especially women, think, I'm just starting out. Why would somebody pay me that much? Oh, and they talk themselves out of it when, and again, maybe that came from, when you were young, or you were involved with, say, a man who said you're not worth it, all of those things, those stupid little voices again. But yeah, as you said, getting rid of those and just realizing, no, the limitations you're putting are on yourself. You're the one that's doing it.
Well, here's the thing. So that's where you get the tiny offers and you get the, I'm only charging $197 or, whatever the numbers are. And what I say to people, what I know for sure is when you're wearing your number, it doesn't matter if it was $19 or 1900 or
Right.
19,000. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter.
Mhm.
You wear your number and you will
Mhm.
attract people in the marketplace that are looking
Right.
for you, and
Mhm.
that will pay that money.
Yeah. Yeah. If
Gladly.
you're going to charge, say, $1,900, then
Yeah.
the people who can only pay 19, they might still, they might be your Facebook friend, they might be connected to you on LinkedIn because you might have, say, a free product like an ebook or something that they can get. But they're going to kind of self weed themselves out.
Absolutely.
And of course, the tricky thing for many business people is that we think, I'm just going to get a whole bunch that are at $19. Well, why not get one or two at 1900? And it's a totally different mindset, obviously, because you're like I since COVID, I have not attended a networking thing. No, anything local. And
Yeah.
I loved seeing all my friends here in Atlanta, and I miss them. But when I sat down and thought about, did I lose money those 2 years? No, I didn't,
Interesting.
because they were wonderful, lovely people. They just weren't my people. Now I do miss
That's interesting.
I miss seeing
Yeah.
them. So, all those various things. But yeah, from a business perspective, that just wasn't where I needed to be. And I think that's another one of the issues we have. And especially when you're starting out in business, you're told you have to go to every networking thing you can possibly go to. You have to, and people go, you have to, and it's like, nah, not anymore.
Right? No, I totally agree with that. Two things. One is that you're going to have 35% of your audience that are never buyers. That's
Right.
fine.
Yeah,
They're going to be great
they're just
followers.
those lurkers.
They're going to be sharers. They could
Mhm.
comment. They could refer.
Right.
You never
Which
know
is
what they could
maybe
do.
makes them even more valuable.
100%. You're only going to have 5% of the people that are going to say yes right away.
Mhm.
And then you can have 30% that are
Mhm.
going to be needing
Mhm.
inspiration and
Right.
really that motivation.
Mhm.
And then 30%, hopefully my
Mhm.
math is right, that are going to need to be,
Mhm.
wait, I need to be supported. I
Mhm.
want to be nurtured. Right.
Mhm.
And so that's a lot of effort that you're going to be
Mhm.
expending. Really, do you want to be doing that
Mhm.
for not your
Mhm.
audience? Right. That's why
Right.
you being really clear
Mhm.
and you valuing yourself, because this is the second part. I
Mhm.
was just at a sales retreat last week, and in an offside conversation I was having with the host. And I was saying to her, isn't it amazing? And this is mostly women, that we leave our experience at the door when we start something new. What
Mhm.
is happening with that, Deb?
Right.
I mean,
Mhm.
so the astrology piece was new
Mhm.
to me at the top of 2020.
Mhm.
That is 100% true. I
Mhm.
didn't leave my 25 years of C-suite experience
Right. Yeah,
for
you
absolutely
brought them
not.
together. Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I didn't apologize that this was my, third year doing something. I
Mhm.
was like, oh no, guess what? I am attaching this
Mhm.
unbelievable
Right.
offering with my
Mhm.
amazing experience. And now I am unique to the
Mhm.
marketplace.
Right. Right. Well, you say, and unique. It is unique. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone else who does what you do. And why do you think that is? I
It's
mean,
not easy.
clearly you're supposed to be doing this. Let's put it,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
important.
This, yeah, definitely this was
Mhm.
a vocation.
Mhm.
So I will tell you, it's not easy. So
Mhm.
what isn't easy about it, Deb? Well, first off, how do you actually make formulaic methodology or
Right.
processes that is
Mhm.
in this way? It took me a handful of years to do
Mhm.
that. And
Mhm.
and I had to be very tenacious and committed to that.
Mhm.
And I did do that. The second thing is I had to come out of the spiritual closet, which was not my favorite exercise,
Mhm.
right? Imagine walking into a room, one of your beloved Atlanta networking events,
Mhm.
and you're a business strategist that has
Mhm.
helped, a lot of
Mhm.
people in the marketplace. And you just go up to people and you start talking to them and you give one piece of advice. I would
Mhm.
walk out with 3 clients, bar none, every single
Mhm.
time. That same person walks in and says, oh, I'm a business strategy and master astrologer. How many side eyes do you think I would get?
Oh yeah, you got lots of uh-huhs, or look at
What?
her. Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even in so much, because I haven't done a lot of things in real life in person either.
Mhm.
And I just went to the sales retreat down in South Carolina last week that I've referred to now twice.
Mhm.
And it was so impactful to me because we had about 25 people in the room.
Mhm.
I must confess, there was a minute as I was walking out of my
Mhm.
hotel room and walking into the room, maybe I just talk about my methodology and I don't talk about the astrology.
Mhm.
And then I was like, don't,
Yeah,
don't,
you were
don't
like,
ridiculous.
No.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be ridiculous. It was a nanosecond, but it was a nanosecond. I have to tell you, the world is changing. I had people from many industries, very traditional people. There wasn't a woo conversation going on. And I said what I do. Every single person leaned forward.
Tell me more.
Tell me more. Explain this to me. They've now, I mean, this was only Friday that I left them, and they've now subscribed to my YouTube channel. I told them to follow the forecast. They're like, oh, I want to know more about this. This is fascinating.
Right. Well, and it's just like the money thing. If it's not something that somebody is at least going to be curious about, then they'll just leave. I mean, and that's great. You don't want to waste your time on them, because there are far more that are good that you want to be talking with. And I mean, that is a hard discussion for any business person, and because they think, well, we're leaving money on the table. Well, no, the money wasn't on the table to start with.
Right. Exactly. No, I totally agree with you. And it is so true. When you niche down, you get so many more results. Right. And then you get into that flow, because you're getting the results. You're not getting the quiet crickets or the naysayers
or the snickers.
Or the snickers, or the people that just will suck up your time with question after question.
Right.
And they're probably your never buyers.
Right. And I'm sure you do get curious questions, but then, it's, there's a difference between tell me more and tell me all.
Exactly. Right. Tell me more and read. There's a difference between tell me more and read me, because that's what I'll get, right. Because that's kind of the thing that they're most questioning, but I do remember from business strategy, it was like, oh, tell me more, but tell me about me. It's the same thing. What should I do in my business?
Right.
Well, you know what? We've talked for 3 minutes. I'm not really sure. I could give you a very common, great general piece of advice, but I'm probably not going to be able to be that detailed, because we just haven't had a long enough discussion.
Yeah. I know nothing about your background. I know nothing about your education. I mean, like we were saying, what your goals are, all of those things, it takes longer to develop that. And yet anybody, if, they were business coach, I mean, I had somebody the other day that said, tell me how I need to pitch this to the media. Tell me how I need to do that. And I've got 5 minutes for you to talk to me. And I was like, well, and I mean, I gave some general, but I told him this is going to be very general, because I just don't know enough about the situation. And, and he left happy. He was, and I thought, okay, whatever. But yeah, after, and then of course, what do you do afterwards? Oh, I should have told him this. Oh, I should have told him this. Oh, I should have told him this. But I didn't follow up, because I thought, no, he didn't. He wanted the 5-minute conversation and not anything more.
Yeah. And what's his commitment to you? Right. So, and the reason why you didn't have that at the ready, because you weren't given enough time to actually stir your thoughts and really contemplate and come up with a thoughtful response.
Well, and even just do a little bit of research, because that happens all the time. We set up business meetings with people, and they say, hey, we want to talk to you about X. Well, you've got usually days, hours, hopefully at least, where you can look them up on LinkedIn. You can look at their business. I mean, you Google them, right? What's going to come up if you Google somebody, all these. So then you can kind of start building that conversation, as opposed to, hey, tell me what I'm supposed to be doing right now. But I'm guessing you get that, So Kim, tell me, what should I be doing right now to make my business successful?
And I hold that line, Deb, and because again, do no harm, right? I mean, and I can say, if you want a piece of very general advice, I'll send them to one of my channels, and I'll say, there's really great information there.
But if you did any more, like, just anything, I mean, it could send them just off in a tizzy. I mean, I'm thinking, if say you, maybe it was, you're going to get a new business partner. Right. Well, maybe they have a business partner. And so there's just this, so yeah, I mean, it's just, there's no way to be able to answer that in a short conversation.
Absolutely. Especially again, when you're not in the right circumstance for it,
Right.
and on a sales call or a podcast interview or an online comment that comes in when I'm LinkedIn live,
Right.
or, no, they all, don't worry. I get all the questions. I do. I get all the
Right.
questions.
Right.
Yeah. And I just choose to be responsible. I
Right.
choose to be
Well,
responsible.
and and there are, there probably are some things that you can say that are really just kind of generic, and so you don't want to do that. I mean, educate yourself more. Are you reading the best books? I mean, stuff that really is just so pithy that
Right.
it really doesn't mean anything. But yeah, that's why I won't say, so Kim, tell me what my future holds, because we, yes, we know each other, but not in a way where you could answer those questions. Because
Exactly.
this is the first time we've actually talked just one-on-one.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, it would not be, first of all, it's not responsible of me to ask, but it would not be responsible for you to respond. I mean, you know more about me than, other people, but it's still not enough to be able to say, here's really, aside from, well, maybe you should consider working with me. That's not a, that's it.
But you know what? The other thing is, I don't even know what you'd want me to share
Right.
with other people. This is not the container that we're normally in together, right? So I have a confidentiality and a respect that this is not my story. This is your story, right? So, but what I do is I will do I call the star peak for people when they agree. And I do like a 15-minute reading on a platform. So it could be LinkedIn. I am going to be launching a podcast at the top of the year. So to give people a flavor of like, what does that even mean? Like, what could I expect? Like, what kind of things would Kim know that would be really helpful for me? But you and I have already talked about it.
Right.
When I have already determined what it is you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with. And I will make sure that you are not going to be disturbed at all in any way as that's going on, or even after, even more importantly, after that's going on.
Right. Right. Well, if somebody is saying, oh my gosh, this sounds, not if, when somebody says, oh my gosh, this sounds absolutely fabulous, kind of walk us through the process a little bit.
Yeah. So when somebody comes into my world, there's 3 levels. There's the free world that I do weekly forecasts, a monthly forecast, and monthly ritual and annual forecast. You can get a lot of flavor again with that star navigation. Toe dip. Is it for me? Is it not for me? Is she for real? Could I count on her? Great. The next level is I have this beautiful, Rich and Powerful Leaders Academy, which has 3 tiers that you can get. Like, gee, this is based on that quiz. This is my result. This is my signature. What do the stars mean to me? For me, how can I work with them strategically? How can I build my success map for the year and then do some key functioning in the year? And then there's another level that we then do separate groups and we do some more Q&A around that. And then there's a level where it's in combination with working with me one-on-one.
Okay. And
then the one-on-one container I do have, but I'm very select. You need to apply. I only work with a handful of people. It's a 12-month container.
Right.
We are going to transform your life. And it's going to be your whole life.
And as you said, it's a long-term commitment. This is not, fix me. And I'm guessing that's a big part of what you get is the fix me's.
And I adore my fix me's. And guess what? I've got some great forecasts that you can go get for free online. That's exactly what I do with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and there's a lot that goes with the fix me, because you can't, it's why. What do you think needs fixed? All of that discussion has to come in there. And and that comes back to, I'm not making enough. My friends don't say I'm doing this, all of those things. And so then you have to kind of sort through all of that, which, and what I keep thinking about in all of this is you are also a counselor to some degree, because you are kind of pulling all of these things together and, and providing that wisdom, inspiration, knowledge, to help them through this, much like a counselor would be doing.
Yeah. So I'm not a therapist. So I use the word consulary. So that's more appropriate, right? Because it is true. I'm going to help you with your teams. I'm going to help you with your vendors. I'm going to help you with your clients, meaning, should you work with them? Should you not? What should your offering suite be?
Right.
What value are you wearing? All those types of things. And working on you to then, impact your external work. I will help you scale your business. You will achieve greater growth than you would if you were working with a traditional solution set, because we're going to get under the cover. We're going to heal some things. But then I can look at your kids. I can look at your spouse or your partner. I could look at your business, partner or ops VP or something like that to give you, gee, this is a quagmire. I'm really hung up on this. Or, gee, guess what? I think I'm going to go sell my house and buy a new one. Or I'm going to go buy a plane. Or literally the questions I get on Voxer are awesome, because I can help them intuitively make these beautiful decisions that they don't have to second guess, that they can really count on, that they can just, have more ease and space in their life.
Right. You mentioned teams. Do you work with teams? So say a sales team or all the C-suite folks, things like that.
I do. My target is entrepreneurs, and I do like the micro businesses. I do like those businesses that are around, between 1 and 10 employees. So when I take, say, teams, they're smaller teams, I could do corporate work. I choose not to at this time, because I love the flexibility and the nimbleness, and I love the results that we're getting in an entrepreneurial space. But I love working with people who are in that $250,000, $300,000. They need to grow through ops, through systems, through teams, whether that's 1099 or not. And they're usually have trepidation about leading. They're not quite sure how to do it. My background's in leadership. Why would I leave that skill set on the table?
Right. Well, and I'm guessing too, with teams, when you're dealing with multiple people, you're going to have people in there that are just, nope, this is not,
Absolutely.
And then what is it just kind of sucks the whole thing down. And so it's just, they have to be bought in 100%. Or, it's probably not going to work.
Right. No, 100%. So what I'll do is I'll say, is this person really open to this? We need their permission regardless. Right. So, and a lot of times I'll get, I don't really care. If she helps us make more money, that's fine.
Yeah.
Literally, that's what happens. And so either the spouse or the the CEO will say, okay, I've gotten permission. And so we can peak, but I'll always look through the lens of the CEO.
Right.
Because that's a different thing. So I always look at the lens. So, but it does make massive impact. And, don't worry, those other people get on board when they start seeing the results.
Right. Yeah. And because they think, maybe there is something to this.
Maybe there is something to this. Yeah. So I had a woman that was working with me one-on-one. We were developing her business. She was a startup. And then her husband was, he was a little bit more open than that. He came in to listen about the kids. And then he wanted to, leave his job, and he wanted to start a business. I started working with him one-on-one because that's where we got to. He left his $75,000 a year job. He is now making in year 2, $500,000.
Whoa.
A year. Yep. And he had to, it was a whole, I said to him, you need to put your power pants on every day. We need to shift this, because I don't want you getting, opening up your business and being capped at that $75,000 and getting the clients that are just asking too much of you. Oh yeah, no, he was side eye at the beginning.
Right. Well, and he probably had in his mind that 75,000 was adequate or enough, or whatever that word is that he was in there. And so he'd never, but I'm guessing there's a little, back to the little people on the shoulder, somebody saying, you can do more, you can do better. And maybe it was the wife, maybe it was, whoever, but because if he hadn't, he probably wouldn't have worked with you at all. There had to at least be that curiosity to say, hey, Kim, I need to explore this more.
Yeah, it was frustration in his case. He was absolutely infuriated and came to me like, I just can't do this anymore. Okay, then we can fix this.
Right. Yeah. Well, oh my gosh, we've only got about 5 minutes left. This has been so much fun. So tell us, how they find you. Tell us, a little bit about each thing. I love the idea. And, like I said at the start, we're both on C-Suite Network. And so, I see people that are like, oh my God, Kim, I love the weekly forecasts. So, tell us a little bit more about, first, how do they find you? And then what are the services that you provide?
Yeah, so you can find me across channels. I am on LinkedIn, Kimmy Woods. I am on YouTube, Facebook, Insta, and that's Kim Woods channel. I have a very generic name, Deb. I have to
Yeah.
come up with, a little bit different way of
Even
people
putting
finding me.
a middle initial or something in there probably
Right?
isn't enough.
Right. I know. So kimwoods.com, that's my
Mhm.
website. But what Deb is talking about, every Monday morning by 10 o'clock Eastern time, I have posted 2 forecasts. One, a 30-second one on LinkedIn,
Okay.
which my business people that are really busy, they adore that. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Here's what's happening in the week. And here's a great tip. Perfect. And then on YouTube, I'm going to go, I do a 3-minute one.
Okay.
So what am I doing? I'm based on that quiz, which I'll tell you that URL in a minute, based on the quiz, I am giving you your signature. So I do the forecast every week by your signature. Super helpful. Gotten great feedback on that. The quiz link is knowyourlifequiz.com.
Okay.
So people can go take that. Like I said, there's over 21,000 people that have taken that quiz. So that's how you find me in my free world. How you work with me is obviously go to my website. There are 2 ways. One is I've got that Rich and Powerful Leaders Academy that gets you results. It's a great group. The people are really excited. You get momentum because you're working with other people. And we're looking at things like, what's your purpose? How do you shine your brilliance? How do you use the stars to come up with a success map? How do you get more support? How do you extend time? How do you make more money? I mean, all the usual suspects. And again, it's group. And then there's the one-on-one where you need to apply to work with me, and that you can find on my website.
I love it. And again, your website is
kimwoods.com.
How did you get that?
I paid a lot of money for it.
But it was worth it, obviously.
It was, yes, it was absolutely worth it.
Yeah. I had no problems getting Deb Creer. I actually could not get Deborah Creer, my full name.
Interesting.
Because somebody has it. And last time I checked, this is just, she was using it for like some fundraising thing. And, and I even offered her money for it, and so So I thought, okay, I'll just be Deb.
Yeah. So before I built this business, I was looking at it and looking for it at the time. I mean, I wasn't making any money because I was just deciding I was going to do this.
Right.
And it was about $3,000. So it wasn't terrible, but I was like, I'm making, $5. Right. I mean, I was not making any money. I hadn't even offered my first offering, and my marketing team, because I knew I wanted to work with them, they said, you know what? Buy it now, because it's only going to get more expensive.
Yeah, because of course, and I mean, this is just a good business tip for anybody, because as you grew in popularity and wisdom and then somebody else is going to go, ooh, I mean, it's we saw that at the very start, right, when people were first URLs, they were buying up everything they possibly could because they knew somebody would want them eventually.
Exactly.
And so, but I love it. Well, oh my gosh, Kim, this has been so much fun, and I'm going to have to check out the weekly forecast. I have to admit, I have not done that, so I'm going to have to check those out and take the quiz, right? So I will do all of that. But I'd love to have you on again, because I think this is it's very interesting. And so I think it's great. And especially, because there's a lot going on in the world. Absolutely. That, just all sorts of ickiness and all that. And it's not getting better, but we can make things better in our own way. And I think that's the thing that we need to remember. But I'd love to have you on again. But do you have any final thoughts that you want to leave everyone with?
Yeah, I do 2 things. One is, using the stars plus strategy can clear the pathway to your success, which that is my tagline and my slogan for a reason. And finally, even following the stars, even for that 30 seconds a week, can give you calm and certainty, because then you're not alone. And that if something is happening, you could say, oh, okay. Not that you're not taking responsibility, but just so that you can get some ease and some peace.
I love it. Well, I'm Deb Creer. I've been having such a fun discussion with Kim Woods. And until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.